Okay, I'm here to, I guess, expand on the previous video, but I'm gonna be like touching on little memories that I have in a span of a time period. Okay, this is gonna be about my mom, okay, and how when she got sick, it was like it went downhill super fast, super fast. This was my ages between, I want to say, 11 and 14. Well, she passed when I was 13, but like within the next 2 months, I was gonna be 14. So it's like 11 to 14. Okay, so when my mom got sick, things kind of went crazy, because my mom, she was very, very beautiful. She was extremely beautiful. Like, she was a Miss Parker, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can remember one day me and my friend walking up to the house and she coming outside and her walking towards our driveway, and it's like a group of men across the street at our neighbor's house, and they all watching her. Me and my friend were watching them watch her walk to her car. She walked back, and then she walked back. She turned around and she was like, "Hey!" All of them was like, "Hey!" It was so funny. But yeah, she became Miss Parker to me at that moment. But yeah, so when she got sick, it was like everything started to go wrong. I mean, she started losing weight. She started losing her hair. Um, she started hallucinating. She started, you know, it was just like everything just stopped working. It was to the point where I can remember having to carry my mom to the bathroom or whatever. But I can remember one time, like, I'm gonna give y'all an example. Okay, so one day I'm across the street at my friend's house, and we talking, and my crush came over, and he started talking to us, and I'm all happy, I'm smiling ear to ear, and I look over, and I see my mom come down the driveway, and she was in her birthday suit, and I was just like, oh my god, I was beyond embarrassed. So I ran across the street to hurry up and get her in the house. And it was like I had to try to stop her from getting back out the door until my sister came. And when my sister came, I kind of hid behind my sister because, it was just kind of weird seeing my mom like that. And that was during the time when she thought she was seeing things that she probably, I don't know, was seeing, but we weren't seeing. She was acting ways that wouldn't right until she just stopped acting. Like, stopped doing everything. Um, it was just rough. It was rough. I think it was even worse for my sister because she was actually, well, I'm going to say I know it's kind of worse. It was worse for my sister because she was actually taking care of my mom during that period of time. And what made me mad about that issue is that everybody blamed her for it. That ain't right. That wasn't what that was. She was actually going through it too. She was a teenager, at a period of time acting like a teenager, and she was actually being responsible. She was doing everything she needed to. She actually probably had a mental breakdown, but people weren't thinking about it like that. Everybody back then was just, I don't know. I don't know. They just, I guess they didn't realize our cries without our having our cries. I don't know, but it was just us against the world at that point. And my sister, she really took that beat down after my mom passed, and I don't think that was right at all because that wasn't what that was. And I'm, I'm gonna tell y'all about that too. That was funny. But okay, back to what I was saying. And so I can remember the night and day, well, night and morning it happened. Okay, so well, actually, I'm gonna say when she started, when it started really just getting bad was right after my uncle and his girlfriend at the time. He's married to it now, but after they stayed and then they left. It was like a father stayed right after that. We had, and I don't want to say it was near, and I'm not saying it was their fault. I'm not saying any of that. It was just, kind of weird to me. But I'm not saying that. It's just, I guess, how things happen. That's what I'm gonna say. And so how things happened was they left. She got real sick because it was this Father's Day. I can remember it was Father's Day because it's a Father's Day. And we called the ambulance, and I don't know why. I forgot. I mean, I really don't know why the reason. I honestly don't. Maybe I remember later, but I can remember that. And then it was an incident where we used to have to, so we called the ambulance. She had to go stay in the hospital. And like during these little hospital stays, me and my sister would take turns, spend the night with her. And I can remember this one night I spent the night, and the nurses there made me mad. But I'm young, so okay. But I can remember, if anybody know the hospital, you can't really sleep in the hospital because everybody keep coming in and out, coming in and out. So this one particular time, my mom, I guess, had to use the bathroom, and she kept asking, And the nurse, I guess, wouldn't let her do it, or she was like, oh, you really don't. I guess I don't know. She was telling my mom she didn't have to do it or do it in whatever kind of hookup they had it, but she wanted to get up, okay? So, but eventually my mom got tired of asking, so she got up, and when she got up, she kind of, she used it on herself, and when she called the nurse back in, and the nurse came, they was all upset with her. And I'm sitting there, and I'm hearing this. Like, I had to get up out that room because me and my attitude at the time, yeah, I had to go out there in 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, because I'm serious. I was finna, but okay, so I let the woman do what she had to do and clean my mom up, or whatever. And I went back in there, and still the same thing, trying to go to sleep. But I can remember that stuck with me because my mom really asked a couple of times, for this nurse to, help her go to the bathroom, and she wouldn't, and the way they did, but anyway, okay, so next thing I'm gonna talk about is the night in the morning of, I can remember the night of us waking up to my mom passing. We was at home, and had some of her friends over, and we was outside just kicking it. Eventually we, started riding around our neighborhood for a little while, and then we came back. And I can remember we had this big green air mattress in front of the TV in the living room. My little brother at the time, he was like 3 going on 4, he was laying on his sleep. And I can remember just laying down and then going to sleep. I can remember my sister coming in behind me, and she walking down the hallway to check on my mom, and that's it. Okay, so I wake up, though. I wake up to my sister crying. And when I heard that, I kind of knew in my heart what was going on. So I get up and I walk down the hall, and y'all, it felt like Green Mile. That was like a long walk down the hall to her room. And I go into her room, and I see my mom just laying there. She was just laying there looking up. And I can remember, y'all remember them church sermons that used to come on in the middle of the night, being all extra, hitting them high notes for no reason. Yeah, that was on. She was watching it. After that, I couldn't watch one of those for a minute. I couldn't, y'all. I couldn't. But I could remember my sister crying on the phone. I don't know who she was talking to. I don't know if it was my godmother or the at-home nurse she had. But I know they was asking her questions, and my sister looked at me and she asked me to see if my mom's heart was still breathing. So I looked down at my mom, and I placed my hand on her chest, and I was feeling for her heartbeat. And it was like I was looking at her, she was looking up at me, and I was just like, no. And I took my hand off her, and I stepped back, and I turned and I walked back out the room. And I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know if I was happy. I don't know if I was sad. I don't know if I was glad. I don't know if I felt free. I don't know if I felt, I don't know. It was like a whole bunch of everything inside me at once. And y'all, that was the walk back down the hall was the longest walk I have ever had to make, it seems. Back down the hall into the living room. And, I walked into the living room. My little brother, he was getting up. Y'all, he was like, had no care in the world. He was like, he was free, happy go lucky. He was setting up his 64 to play wrestling. We was big fans of wrestling back then. And he was setting it up and he was, starting to play it. And all I could do is, I can remember walking up to our living room door and putting my head in between the curtains and crying. And thinking that I feel for my brother because he would never know who his mom was. I felt for him. I didn't feel anything for me. I felt for him. And after a while, I went outside and I drove in and I sat. And I don't know. It was like I had a friend that stayed up the street from me. He came down and he just sat right next to me. And he just sat. And sat. And we just sat. And then eventually my godmother pulled up. And that's when everything really started happening. But I want him to know that I really appreciate him for that moment. If he do come across this video, I know he'll know who I'm talking about. But I do appreciate you for that. Just sitting with me. Thank you. Okay. Let me know what you think. Thank you.